All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? This is hour one of Jon and Jim. We are back reunited. I wasn't here Friday, but presumably there was a show.
There was a show.
We have a very good show lined up, including a new feature we'll unveil momentarily.
Dun.
Jeff Fletcher covers the Angels beat. He also wrote a book on Shohei Ohtani. He also said Ohtani was going to end up with the Dodgers. And he will join us coming up at 4 p.m. to talk about the Angels slide again. They've lost to 8 of 9 and 5 straight. Padres Angels tonight, as Jim just said, at 6:38. Cynthia Freeland on this Justin Jefferson deal and more. NFL Network Cynthia Freeland will join us at 4:30. David J. from Mad Friars on Adam Major, who's going to make his Major League debut for the Padres tomorrow against Anaheim. But here is the brand new feature. Do we have a drum roll, Jim? Actually, Brent, because you don't have the drum roll. That's pretty good. This is even better.
That's a better one. Yeah, mine sucked.
Starting today off the top of the show, for at least today, we're introducing the Jon and Jim hotline. Here's what you need to do. You can open the iHeartRadio app right now, search for San Diego Sports 760, tap that little red talkback mic, and we want you to answer the following question. We may play back your response. You can reply with anything over like 30 seconds. The question today, can the Padres overcome injuries to Yu Darvish and Joe Musgrove? Jim just talked about it during the update. The way to use the Jon and Jim hotline, you open the app right now, you search for San Diego Sports 760, you tap that little red talkback mic. We may play back your responses later this hour. Have you ever used the Jon and Jim hotline?
The Jon and Jim hotline?
Have you ever used it?
I've used a form of the Jon and Jim hotline.
Not this
one, not this one, because this is brand spanking new.
Who's going to be the first to use it?
And the great part about this is,
I'm excited to hear.
You know, what can't we do on terrestrial radio, Jon?
We cannot curse.
Correct.
We cannot not talk.
Yeah, correct.
We cannot scream.
We can scream. We screamed, yeah.
One time I couldn't say a word that ends with hole.
Yeah, you called me a very bad word one time, and everyone looked at you like, Jon.
I think I did 2 times.
Yeah, twice.
So yeah, you can't do things like that.
Correct.
But you can use that. But that's not. We're not going to encourage people to use that on Jon and Jim hotline.
I'm not encouraging it, because then it puts a lot of more work on Brent's table to make it airable. But sometimes the slippage of a bad word here and there, because people might be heated or hot. It's the hotline, right? So this is kind of like, just like whatever you have on your mind as far as the question we ask of the day, just go to the hotline, Jon and Jim hotline on the iHeartRadio app, and you just say what's on your mind about whatever question we're asking you. And it's really like, you don't have to worry about being on radio. We can edit some features out,
and you don't have to wait on hold, and you can do it immediately, and you may hear your answer or your Jon and Jim hotline response on air. So today's question, we can start here. There's a lot to get into from this past weekend. Obviously, Padres win another series, but they do lose on Sunday. The question today for the Jon and Jim hotline: can the Padres overcome injuries to Yu Darvish and Joe Musgrove? I do think the series win, no matter what happened this past weekend in Kansas City, is fine. Whether they swept the series or maybe even if they lost the series. What's more important here, Jim, is the next 100 games. They've played 62. There's 100 to play in the regular season. And no matter what happened in this 3-game series against the Royals, you got to think about the ramifications long-term now. What's the latest here on Joe Musgrove? Kevin Acee reporting today in the UT. It'll be at least a month. That might be very favorable for Joe Musgrove, who's been dealing with an elbow and a shoulder for the better part of the last year. Then you have Yu Darvish, who bounced back pretty well last time he was on the IL, but is back on the IL as well. This might be a shorter stint than Joe Musgrove's. But can the Padres overcome these injuries? To me, they're a much bigger story than what happened on Sunday, even though what happened on Sunday is a story as well.
Well, hey, without those guys pitching against the Royals, one of the best home teams in baseball, it took 2 or 3.
It's true. But can you consistently do it over the next 100 games?
If they played every game on the road, they could probably do it.
True.
Because their offense on the road is by far and away the best in baseball. It's not even close. If you look at their road numbers, like they have, I think, around a 300, I think 295 batting average on the road. The second best team on the road batting average wise is like around 260. So they have 30 points higher batting average than every other team in baseball on the road. But this team's going to be put to the test, especially the pitching staff. The pitching staff will be put to the test. It's fine for like a week or two, but When you start talking about months, and this is possibly could be like a month thing for Joe Musgrove. And truthfully, when he went on the IL first, I was very worried and very concerned about it. But all I kept hearing, oh, it's just precautionary. It's fine. He's going to be fine. Well, it doesn't seem like it's just fine and precautionary anymore. It feels like this is a real big issue.
Mm-hmm.
And I would be more surprised than not if he actually returns this year, to be honest with you.
Because more surprised than not if he even returned at any point this season.
Because I just don't trust the Padres when it comes to arm injuries. I don't trust their messaging. I don't trust how they go about it. Anytime a player on this team has had an arm injury in the last, decade, it all ends horribly. There's not one case that I can think of where a guy goes on the IL for an elbow injury or a shoulder injury, and then it turns out to be great and turns out to be fine. And if I'm missing somebody, please let me know. But off the top of my head, I can name 4 dudes that all went on the IL for the Padres, and their same messaging was the hope is that he can return. And guess what? He never returned. We got Clevenger, we got Lamet, we got Morahone, and then now we're going to see if Joe Musgrove's one of those guys.
Even the messaging, though, to your point, I agree with what you're saying. Even the messaging, though, isn't overly encouraging. I think it's fair for them to say, hey, the hope is to get him back this year. I think that's a reasonable message, but that doesn't scream Joe Musgrove is going to be pitching meaningful games and having high leverage starts for you in September and potentially October as well. I hate to go to 2021 because I don't think this team is 2021's team, but consider what did in the team in both 2020 and 2021. 2020, they acquire Clevenger and Lamet. They're both not available in the postseason. They run out of arms. If it would have been a 162-game season, we don't even know if the Padres would have made the playoffs in 2020 because we saw what happened in 2021. Their pitching injuries were much later in the year, and they could not overcome it. Now, are they better built to deal with it this time around? Can they use the trade deadline to their advantage? May they get Darvish or Musgrove back sooner rather than later? We don't know the answers to that. But that, to me, excuse me, is the much bigger question than what happened on Sunday. Why did they use Robert Suarez in the manner in which they used him on Friday and Saturday? And I'm happy to have that conversation as well. Whether they swept the Royals or got swept by the Royals, not having Darvish and Musgrove potentially for 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 combined starts will have much more of an impact, in my opinion, on the remainder of their season than whatever happened this weekend in Kansas City. So that's my concern. Injuries are a part of the game. Yeah. It's got to be a concern if you're a Padres fan.
And we're going to have to wait to see how Luis Arraez is, even though it was reported by Kevin that he should be good to go. And
in the lineup, right?
He's in the lineup today. Yeah. So that's good news. But yeah, I mean, the series over the weekend versus the Royals was one of those bittersweet series because they should have swept them. And because of what Mike Schilt did and what mostly Stephen Kolek did on Friday, kind of was a trickle-down effect for the rest of the series. Once again, you can't sweep a team when you have it right in front of you to sweep them.
I mean, you're 3 outs away.
3 outs away. You played great on the road all year. You have an opportunity to get your first sweep of the season, and you don't come through. That all stems from what happened on Friday night. But yesterday's game and those types of games for this team this year, and it might not mean anything at the end of the season because the National League is so mid, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
I agree.
It could. You had a golden opportunity to get a sweep, and you let a win just go to the wayside. With what happened with Stephen Kolek and using Robert Suarez on Friday night, which was, I think, a bad decision by Mike Schilt. And then yesterday, Yuki Matsui couldn't get the job done. Hopefully, that win that turned into a loss yesterday doesn't bite them in the ass. And now, with the pitching problems or issues with this team, the margin for error continues to shrink. It feels like this team is ready to make this margin for error get a little bigger and bigger. And then they have yesterday's loss compounded with the injuries to their pitching staff. And now you're playing with fire here, having to rely on Michael King, who's getting up there in innings. He's going to surpass his innings limit, or at least the most innings he's ever pitched in the big leagues. You're relying on Matt Waldron. You're relying on Randy Vasquez. It's kind of scary.
Well, let me say this to your point. I mean, first things first, of course, Yuki Matsui in the ninth inning yesterday has to pitch better than he did, right? I mean, that's obvious. They had a 3-1 lead. He came on, even though he's not your primary closer, obviously, because you have Robert Suarez. He needs to be able to do the job. But I'm with what Fernando Tatis Jr. said to Kevin Acee, which was once we saw Robert Suarez come into the game on Friday, we knew that was going to haunt us. And I'm also with what Mike Shildt said post-game yesterday, which was something along the lines of, listen, what happens earlier in a series impacts you later in the series, or what happens over the course of a season impacts you later in a season. So leaving Kolek in too long? Is it Kolek for not doing his job on Friday when they had an 8-run lead? Is it Shildt Saturday for using Robert Suarez in a 4-run game? I believe this, and I think this is fair. I've been very complimentary of Shildt for his in-game bullpen usage. I think by and large he's done a very good job. I do think it's fair here to say this was not his finest hour. And the only thing I mean by it is Stephen Kolek got too many batters, in my opinion, before they ended up going to Robert Suarez. I think there could have been a bridge reliever in there on Friday. And then going to Suarez in a 4-run game, I understand you want to win that game. It doesn't seem as if, or it didn't seem as if it was necessary. Wandy Peralta had already pitched in the 8th inning. He could have started the 9th inning. There was no minimum. We're getting into the weeds here. But I didn't think it was the finest hour from Mike Shildt. That's my only point. I do think if it was managed more effectively, they sweep the series. Not to say Kolek doesn't have to be better. It's obvious. That's clear. Not to say Matsui doesn't have to be better. That's obvious and clear. But I didn't think it was Shilt's best work this weekend.
No, it wasn't. And we've, for the most part, haven't been too critical of Mike Shilt's in-game decisions here on Jon and Jim and the wrap-up show. If anything, we're more critical of his post-games and his messaging that comes out of his mouth after post-games. And we're kind of sitting here wondering, like, are you watching the same games we are? But yeah, no doubt about it. He mismanaged the bullpen this weekend and probably cost his team a win by what he didn't do on Friday night, which was kind of put an end to Stephen Kolek's, experiment there in the 9th inning and take him out when he just clearly didn't have it, and just letting him go to a point where it became almost a safe situation. And a game that, if like, you could not lose that game. That would have been easily the worst loss of the year if they ended up losing that game.
And Suarez came in a safe spot, did he not? Or no?
He
was the tying run not in the on-deck circle?
I don't think he did. A save? I think he gave up a hit that scored a run, and then it became a 3-run game.
Okay.
And then the next batter hit one like flied out to like the deep warning track and left. And off the bat, you're like, oh
that was
my
super
God.
Scary. Yeah.
But anyway, it was a good series for the Padres, but it also ended on a sour note.
He did get a save, by the way.
He did get a save? Yeah. Okay. Ended on a sour note. You're frustrated they didn't get the sweep, and it just, again, it's one of those things that's like annoying. It's just annoying. It's not the end of the world, but it's annoying to have that game yesterday turn out how it did when you had it in your hands, the win in your hands.
And I agree with that. And I like the way it sets up, but you got to take advantage of how it sets up. And you're without Darvish and Musgrove. But Angels, Diamondbacks, A's, Mets, it's there for the taking. Let's go to the phones. Again, if you want to use the Jon and Jim hotline, you can do so by opening the iHeart app, clicking on that little microphone icon.
It's open 24/7, by the way.
It's always available to you. We'll play them back, or we may play them back, depending on what you say. We're going to do it actually later this hour. We'll debut it later this hour. Let's start on the phones, though. 877-767-4760. If you want to weigh in, we'll start with Matt on line 4. Matt, thanks for your patience. You're on with Jon and Jim.
Hello?
Hey, Matt.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
How are you, man?
Yeah, Jim, I was listening because I'm an Angels fan. I grew up right next to the stadium, and they are so difficult to maintain being an Angels fan. All the nonsense that they do. The owner is nothing. Artie Moreno does not deserve to be anywhere near baseball, and I wish it would sell the team. And but however, the Padres though, they I like the new coach. And it's very unfortunate that your two of your star pitchers are on the IL. Because I heard you guys speaking about the IL. The IL ends up the IR. And so this is going to be a very good series. And I'm very glad you guys are talking about this. That's it.
Thanks, Matt.
I
don't know if it'll be a good series.
The IL's turned into the IR?
Well, it could turn into, I guess, as he's saying, could a stint like a 10-day turn into like a 60-day? Because are you going to go on like the 60-day IL?
Oh, yeah, maybe. I don't know.
There's no IR, is there?
There's no IR anymore.
There isn't. Well, no, there was never IR. It was always DL.
DL
for disabled, but they got rid of the word disabled.
Yeah, injured list.
Right.
Disabled list. Oh,
yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I hope it's not a good series, honestly, but they're facing a lefty, which means there's a chance it's a good series.
Wait, you hope it's not a good series?
No, I hope the Padres, win 3 games.
So
because he said as an Angels fan, he thinks it's going to be a good series. I said I hope it's not.
For Angels fans, I hope it's a bad series for you guys.
Right, exactly. That's what I mean.
Yeah. Because
I hope it's a good series for the Padres.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and we still don't know if this team's gonna get their act together and play well at home.
That too.
And now with the pitching issues that you're going to be dealing with here, you have a guy starting tomorrow making his major league debut. We'll talk to David J later in the show to get a scouting report on Mazur, but it makes it so you have to continue to play well on the road if you're going to trip up at home constantly. I mean, they're one of the worst teams in baseball at home, and one of the best. They're likely the best National League road team in all of baseball.
Best road team in the National League.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yep.
Best road team in the National League.
Mm-hmm.
So continue to be the best road team in the National League here. And I don't know, get your first sweep against one of the worst home teams in all of baseball in the Angels starting tonight.
Exactly. That's why I hope it's not a quote unquote good series for the Angels. But at some point, they're going to sweep someone over 162.
I hope so.
Every team will have a sweep, I would think. I mean, the A's had one last year. They had multiple.
Is this going to be like the Padres can't win a extra inning game type of thing this year with the sweeping series?
They've had 5 opportunities this year to sweep a series, and they've lost that final game.
I think that this is going to be this year's. They can't win 4 in a row.
Remember
last year they couldn't win 4 in a row or whatever it was. That'll be this year's. They can't win 3 in a row.
Well, I mean, if you're Schulte, then it doesn't matter because winning 2 or 3 every single time gets you to the postseason.
Well, that would be pretty good
in a very mid National League.
Well, no, winning 2 out of 3 gets you to the postseason in the greatest league in baseball history.
True, any league in baseball.
I mean, they're 18-12 in their last 30. That is good baseball. Let's see if they can keep that trend going. All right, 877-767-476. Let's go to Darren. Let's go to Darren on line 2. Darren, appreciate you calling in. You're on with Jon and Jim.
Gentlemen, how's it going this afternoon?
How are you,
Great.
Doing good, guys. Hey, I wanted to bring something up that I think people talked a lot about last year, obviously with it being such kind of a disastrous year, but specifically talking about a guy like Stephen Kolek or a guy like Kyle Higashioka, where, a lot of times you'll see fans on social media or, even on your guys' show complaining about these 2 particular players. And a lot of times the response is, well, you're 25th and 26th guy on the roster. That's not the reason that you're losing games, or that's not the reason you're not in the playoff race, et cetera. But I think what we saw this weekend is actually those guys are a contributing factor to that. So I think like last year, the Padres had a lot of dead weight that they really refused to cut, and it kind of came back to bite them. And I think this weekend we saw a perfect example of it. Like, yes, Manny Machado producing is a lot more important than Stephen Kolek's performances. But when you see games like, this weekend or series like this weekend, you see direct correlation. When you carry guys who are really not Major League Baseball players, it does come back to bite you. And we saw it this weekend. So I just hope that unlike last year, the fat is cut a little sooner and we don't run into situations like this past weekend where in reality it cost us a game. I think we all know that.
All right. Thank you, Darren. I would say it's not just Kolek, though, in his role. It's maybe the mismanagement of Stephen Kolek. 8 batters in a 9th inning.
I think Stephen Kolek has more, more influence on like the outcomes of games because he's the pitcher than Kyle Higashioka.
That's true, too. Yeah, absolutely. Right. Because when he's on the mound, theoretically anything can transpire.
Yeah, Kyle Higashioka, I don't think is like making or breaking the team. He's only going to he's just there. He's just there. He's not going to cost his team unless he plays poor defense behind the plate. But Stephen Kolek is way more influential on like the outcomes of games because he's out there pitching.
No doubt. All right, let's sneak in one more call here, and we can get to more of your calls on the other side as well. 877-767-476. Let's go to Dave, Brent. Let's go to Dave on line 3. Dave, thanks for calling in, man. You're on with Jon and Jim. Dave.
On Matsui and on Joe. First of all, Matsui, real quick. I'm sure Schilt's looking at the back of the baseball card like they're all want to do and see that this guy was the top reliever in Japanese baseball, thinks that, hey, maybe we get through this 9th inning here. It blew up in their face. The poor kid feels bad about it. But nonetheless, the question remains, can this kid pitch at this level at this point? And so it leaves a great big question mark on whether or not he's got the makeup mentally, psychologically to pitch at this level. Having said that, back over to Joe. had a quick chance to talk to, again, Jim Bowden on his show this weekend. And Bowden specifically said, don't depend on Joe Musgrove this year. And clearly this injury situation that dates back to the shoulder socket now goes into the arm and the ligaments and the elbows. It's all interrelated, no question about it. They're going to be shopping for pitching here real soon if they expect to survive this season, make a run. That's how Bowden feels. I have to agree 100%. The worst kept secret right now is the Padres and the pitching needs.
Appreciate it, Dave. We're up against it. I mean, yeah, Jim said the same thing, that, counting on Musgrove could be, it could be a problem, obviously, based on what's going on here since the end of last year. And now his second IL stint this year.
It's bad news. Anybody that is looking at this is like, it's not a big deal. I hate to break it to you. It's kind of a big deal. Going on the IL 2 times in the same season within the last month and a half for an elbow problem.
Yeah. And 3 times since last August.
That's a problem.
And it not just is it bad news, it could become a bad contract. This is year 2 of a 5-year, $100 million contract.
It could become a very bad thing here
All right, if you want to use the Jon and Jim hotline, we'll play some of those, some of your reactions. Can the Padres overcome injuries to you, Darvish and Joe Musgrove? We'll do that later this hour. On the other side, yeah, the Angels are 7-21 at home, but do they have a magic bullet tonight against the Padres? Plus more of your calls, 877-767-4760. It's Jon and Jim. All right, Angels have been terrible at home. Do they have some kryptonite going tonight, though, for them? Plus, again, coming up at 4 p.m. here today on the show, we're going to hear from Jeff Fletcher. He covers the Angels beat. Stay with us.
All right, this update is brought to you by Bank of America. Padres Angels start a 3-game series tonight up in Anaheim. 6:38 first pitch. Matt Waldron on the mound for the Padres. Other news with the Padres today, according to Jeff Passan, Tucupita Marcano is facing a lifetime ban from baseball for betting on baseball. Potential lifetime ban for betting on baseball. Major League Baseball is still investigating Tucupita Marcano. Moving over to the NBA, the finals, they are set. Mavs will take on the Boston Celtics. Game 1 will be on June 6th in Boston. And NFL news, Justin Jefferson signed a massive contract with the Minnesota Vikings for $140 million. Bank of America has powerful digital solutions for your local and global businesses so you can make every move matter. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for businesses to learn more. Bank of America, N.A., copyright 2024.
On the Jon and Jim hotline, just open up the free iHeartRadio app. Listen to San Diego Sports 760. Tap that little microphone icon. We're going to play some of your 30-second hotline bites coming up at 3:45. Here's today's question. Can the Padres overcome injuries to Darvish and Joe Musgrove? Open up the app. Click the microphone icon. We'll play back your responses to that coming up in 15 minutes. Can the Padres overcome injuries to Darvish and Joe Musgrove? All right, I want to answer this after we get to Anthony. What do the Angels have that could be a problem for the Padres tonight? I think we kind of already did. But let's go to Anthony, who's been patient. 877-767-4760. I think it's a trade idea, Jim. Oh, Anthony, you're on with Jon and Jim.
Trade ideas.
Who are you going to trade, Jim?
What?
I have a question, actually. Do the Padres? I'm asking for a friend who's a fan of the Padres. Mm-hmm. He's wondering if the system is deep enough to trade for both Jesus Luzardo and Tanner Scott from the Marlins to improve his pitching.
All right, thank you, Anthony. Well, they didn't use any of their top handful of pitching prospects in the Luis Arraez deal.
Mm-hmm.
It has been speculated they could go back to the well for Jesus Luzardo. I forget who reported that this weekend.
I can almost, I guess, close as I can get to a guarantee that AJ Preller will make at least one more trade this year. I don't know.
Of course.
And it probably will be for a pitcher, depending on the full, breakdown of Joe Musgrove, which to me does not feel very promising that we're going to see Joe Musgrove again this season.
Right.
Honestly,
he mentioned Tanner Scott's got a 1.57 ERA, left-handed reliever. Relief, yeah, they probably may have a need. You always want to bolster, but I don't know if you need like the closer from the Marlins and you have Suarez and Estrada. No, it wouldn't hurt. But is that my first priority? Yeah, I'm probably thinking Luzardo or starting pitching before I go to like a ninth inning guy when I have like a couple of ninth inning guys right now.
And with the emergence of Estrada, you're not like looking for that eighth inning guy that you needed.
That's right.
To set up for Suarez, because now you have it. You have probably the best 1-2 punch at the back end of your bullpen in baseball right now with Estrada and Suarez.
I agree with that.
So starting pitching is definitely the number one priority for this team going forward because of the up in the air availability of Darvish and especially Musgrove.
All right, so the Angels tonight, right? Game one of a 3-game series, 7-21 at home, losers of 8 of 9, all against first-place teams, I want to say, losers of 5 straight. I mean, they've been anemic. They've been flat-out anemic, injuries, Mike Trout.
They're like now forgotten. Now that Mike Trout's on the IL and they don't have Shohei Ohtani anymore, they're the forgotten franchise. No one even 100%. Thinks of them at all.
Now, the one thing about their awful season is their starter today has been amazing.
Kind of, yeah.
And he's a left-handed starter. Veteran lefty Tyler Anderson has a 2.47 ERA. Listen to these numbers. 69 in the third innings.
Nice.
49 hits against.
Oof.
He's got a 1.1 whip. He has struck out 48, which isn't high. He's issued 29 walks, but again, 49 hits in 69 in the third innings for Tyler Anderson. And the one issue that has plagued the Padres throughout the course of the season is consistently, they cannot hit left-handed starting pitching.
I got it.
Okay. Trade for him today.
Trade for him right now, AJ, because then you don't have to face him.
Right.
And then you got a starting pitcher to put in your rotation while, Darvish is on the IL and presumably, potentially worst case scenario comes up with Joe Musgrove. So there you go. Boom. There you go. There's your guy, AJ, Tyler Anderson.
Dude, this guy's got a 2.8 WAR.
I know.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
It's only June 3rd or whatever it is.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think this guy, when he was on the Pittsburgh Pirates, came here to Petco and
shoved,
almost threw a no-hitter.
So that was when we wanted. I think we asked for him in 2021.
I think so. You're right.
Then the wheels fell off with the pitching, and they were pitching like whom? Vince Velasquez and Jake Arrieta. So now he's 34 years of age, and again, as a team, Anaheim's been awful. Mm-hmm. But Tyler Anderson's got a 2.8 WAR pitching at home against a team that doesn't hit left-handed pitching.
Yeah, that's why yesterday. That's why yesterday is so frustrating, because if all things stays equal tonight, where they can't hit left-handed pitching, okay, say they lose tonight, all right, just because whatever, and now you're looking at a 2-game losing streak when really you should have been coming off a sweep. That's why yesterday's loss, because you're going up against a left-hander who's been really good this year, and you can't hit left-handed pitching.
And they couldn't
all.
Yesterday either.
You can't yesterday either. The only reason why you scored a couple runs there is because the Royals bullpen sucks.
Right.
So we'll see, but it will make yesterday's loss even more frustrating if tonight they still can't hit left-handed pitching and they happen to lose tonight to a left-handed pitcher. It makes yesterday just that much more frustrating.
By the way, you mentioned it earlier. Arraez post-game yesterday said, "I'm fine, I'll play." What's interesting to me, he might play, is we're 3 hours out. You would have a lineup by now traditionally, and the Padres haven't yet posted their lineup. And normally when you wait on a lineup, it has to do with waiting on a player. So, and that's not to say he's not going to play. He very well may be, but I wonder if they're going through some checks with Arraez, or there's another reason not to have a lineup posted 3 hours out. Typically, we're on the air at 3:40.
Still not posted.
Yeah, typically we're on the air at 3:40. We'd have a Padres lineup for a 6:40 game.
It's like the last thing this team needs is Luis Arraez to be more injured than he said he was like after yesterday's loss.
Because this guy's an elixir to everything. He can hit, Every type of pitching, underhand pitching, overhand pitching, left-handed pitching, anything.
He gets things started. He puts so much pressure on the pitcher because he never strikes out.
Truly
never strikes out.
A couple times.
Yeah, that just would make everything much worse. I just listening to or reading his comments yesterday after the loss, I wasn't too concerned about things.
Was I.
But it always seems to happen with this team where like some guys like, oh, I'm fine. And then 2 days later, IL.
Just kidding.
Tommy John. Like, what? Excuse me?
I mean, if you watch this, it was the play in which he drove in the only run against the left-handed starter.
And it's another shoulder thing.
And he was down for a good while.
Same thing happened with Bogarts. Had a shoulder injury.
Fine.
It's fine. It just
but let's not speak that into existence.
He broke a freaking bone in his shoulder.
No, I hope he's in the lineup. But again, it's 3:40. Normally you'd have a lineup by 3:40. So I'm curious if it has something to do with Luis Arraez's availability. All right, here's what we're going to do on the other side. We have two things to do, Jim. We've got Is That Good? The best and worst of the sports weekend. We also have the debut of the Jon and Jim hotline. If you'd like to answer the question of can the Padres overcome injuries to Yu Darvish and Joe Musgrove, open up that iHeart app right now. Search for San Diego Sports 760. Tap the red talkback mic, and you can leave a 30-second talkback. Do that right now. We'll play them back for you coming up in about 5 minutes. At 4 p.m., we'll be joined by Angels beat writer Jeff Fletcher for the OC Register. At 4:30, Cynthia Freeland, NFL Network, on that landmark Justin Jefferson deal. Stay with us. Jon and Jim continues next. All right, we've got a developing story as we speculated on. Is Luis Arraez in the lineup tonight for the Padres or not? We'll tell you next. Jon and Jim talk back or hotline. Just open up the free iHeartRadio app. Listen to San Diego Sports 760. Tap that little microphone icon next to the play button to leave a 30-second talk back. And the Padres overcome injuries to Darvish and Joe Musgrove. And maybe I was a soothsayer. Luis Arraez is not in the lineup today. So can they overcome that tomorrow too? Luis Arraez is not in the lineup today. Hopefully precautionary. We have not heard from Mike Schild. Jurickson Profar. Remember, before Arraez, everyone told us Jurickson Profar should lead off for forever. So Profar back to the top of the lineup. No Luis Arraez, who suffered a shoulder yesterday in game one against the Angels. If nothing else, concerning because they need him every single game.
Guys, as a precaution, they're just going to sit him out for the rest of the season.
No.
Like he's Steven Strasburg.
Well, this is probably what their thinking is. One, and I hate it. There's a lefty on the mound. Like, don't give me this lefty matchup bullcrap. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care about who's on the mound. Luis Arraez needs to be in there. He's good versus everybody.
Well, he's not sitting because he's a lefty.
No, but also I think that's like his injury, giving him an extra day, and then also saying, well, there's a tough lefty on the mound. We'll just give him today.
No way.
No way?
No way. The guy falls out of bed with 4 hits.
But I mean, like, injury plus this, not because
no, it's got to be all injury.
Okay.
Has to be, right? No way. He said his own words, I'll be in the lineup. So it doesn't have to do with who's pitching.
This team and injuries, man. They just
I bet they do a series of tests.
Yeah.
They look at mobility, they look at range, they look at imaging, they say, give it a day. Or I have no idea. Maybe it's a more significant injury. We were told Bogarts, like you said 6 minutes ago, was not a significant injury. It turned out to be a real injury. So nobody really, sometimes you do something and you don't know what you've necessarily done until a doctor or a trainer looks at what you've done.
Also, it takes maybe like a day or two. Like, you sleep, you wake up the next morning, you go, ooh, this hurts way more than it did yesterday.
Yeah, that too. Dude, I sleep on a pillow and like my neck hurts. So I can't imagine what it's like to jam my shoulder into like a, immovable second base or whatever he did yesterday.
You should go to a chiropractor.
I have before. I do Pilates. I'm a big believer in Pilates over chiropractor.
Well, you should go to a crew chiropractic. I go there.
Okay, great.
They're
yeah,
amazing.
That sounds very natural the way you're working this in. I'm sure you were going to include that otherwise in your conversation today.
We love them.
Do you take the little things every year from iHeart?
The what things?
Exactly.
Yeah, Chris and Raph, we love you.
All right. Has anyone used the Jon and Jim hotline on day one?
2 people.
Okay, that's great.
Well, probably shouldn't say just 2 people.
That sounds great. Well, I probably shouldn't have asked. I probably shouldn't have asked it like that either. Let's go to the talkback line for the first time in Jon and Jim history.
Just from now on, say yes, people have used it.
Yes. Okay. So let's go to the Accrue Health Jon and Jim hotline.
I like it. Way to just mix that in there. Free reads.
What do our listeners have to say about the Padres overcoming injuries to Yu Darvish and Joe Musgrove? Enough said, Jim.
Enough said.
All right.
Trade for someone at the deadline.
So
Pitching at the deadline.
That's the first ever usage of the Jon and Jim hotline.
Pretty good.
Pretty good. I give that an A for effort.
Yeah, me too.
Here is the second ever usage of the Jon and Jim hotline, which you can do by opening the free iHeart Radio app and searching for San Diego 60. Click on the microphone.
Is that good? Wilcox.
Okay, just kidding.
Holder.
Wait, wasn't there a second one?
No.
Okay, the only one that we're going to play.
Only one. Oh.
I told you that during the break.
The train wreck. All right, let's get to this.
From 29 yards away. Oh, he missed it badly. Kick on the way. Boswell. That's a winner. The good and bad from the sports weekend.
All right, do you have anything you want to start us with here?
Sure, I'll start with
the
this.
The hotline.
The bad hotline. Is that good?
The good chiropractor.
No, he's not. Are you kidding me?
Not good.
Dude, you're going to get us fired.
You're going to get us fired.
How so? What did I do?
I didn't do anything. What did I do?
Oh, you're right. Maybe I will.
Yeah, you're going to get us fired. You're the one that's pushing this.
I'm not. Yeah. I just came up with an idea in my head.
No.
Hey, here's what I want to do, Jim.
I'm not saying pushing that. I'm saying pushing the like.
Oh, pushing it.
Yeah, like continue to try to cross that line there.
All right, I have one.
Okay.
Fernando Tatis Jr. working with his father. You may know him. Fernando Tatis Sr. Has fixed his swing.
Yeah.
He's using his lower half. He's hitting 8 consecutive games. He has 12 hits in those 8 games. That's a .375 batting average. He's had a couple of big hits, including this weekend in Kansas City. 12 for his last 32 during an 8-game hitting streak for Toddy. Is that good?
It is good.
I agree.
All right, Padres win another series. Schulte, I'm sure, threw a party last night, maybe drank some wine to celebrate. But the story is this team on the road as a team is hitting .295. The second best average on the road is the Mets hitting .265.
That's crazy.
Brent, is that good?
It is good.
I mean, they're incredible. They're an incredible offensive team on the road.
I'll stick with the Padres theme. Even with yesterday, they are 18-12 in their last 30 games overall. They have won 8 of 10 series. I don't know if you realize that.
Oh, I knew that.
18-12, a .600 winning percentage in their last 30. Is that good?
It is good.
All right, you got one more.
Like that. Finally, there's been a lot of discussion about her today. Just to watch people talk about Caitlin Clark is always just kind of tattletaling on you. But she won the Rookie of the Month. I don't think people are talking about that. Caitlin Clark, Rookie of the Month in the WNBA. She averaged almost 18 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists.
10 turnovers.
Brent, is that good?
No, he's not
good. Not good.
Not good.
Not good. Rookie of the Month.
I can't believe she got it.
Her winning. Oh, here we go.
I would have given it to Cameron Brink, LA.
I probably would have too, honestly.
What does she do?
Blocking everything.
But what's her
she
stats?
leads the league. She
know.
leads the league in blocks,
Yeah.
and she's averaging almost a double-double.
By the way, and
without
luckily,
10 turnovers a game.
Caitlin Clark won the award because I guess when she scored 3 points in her last game, that wasn't in the first month of the season.
Yeah.
Because she scored 3 points, I think, yesterday.
Caitlin Clark.
We don't need to go through the numbers.
Right,
I trust you. You say yes, but Brent's the decision maker, says it's not good.
It's not good.
What about
she
this?
Sucks. Hate her.
Is this good?
Why are we even talking about her?
Is this good? Tommy Pham gets heated after being thrown out on a collision at home plate. Later says, I'll never start anything, but I'll be prepared to finish it in regards to throwing punches. Is that good?
Dude.
No, Are you kidding me?
That wasn't even his worst quote.
What else did he say?
I have to find it. Paraphrasing, it was something along the lines of, that's why I work out so much in the off season, so I'm ready to F somebody up.
Right. Tommy Pham. Listen, I advocated for him.
Why didn't we bring him back?
I advocated for him until Jerks and Profar decided to be like the National League MVP.
By the way, Caden Clark's only averaging 5 turnovers a game, not 10.
Well, she's obviously not averaging 10. All right, on the other side, Jeff Fletcher, Orange County Register, will get us ready for game 1 of this 3-game series. Angels, Padres tonight at 6:38. At 4:30, Cynthia Freeland from the NFL Network will join the show. Then later on at 5:30, David J. from Matt Friars on Adam Major making his Major League debut tomorrow night for the Padres. Stay with us.
All right, this update is brought to you by Bank of America. Padres, Angels, 3-game series starts tonight in Anaheim, 6:38. First pitch, Matt Waldron on the mound for the Padres. Other news with the Padres. Tucupita Marcano, according to Jeff Passan, is facing a lifetime ban for betting on baseball. Moving over to the NBA Finals, start on the 6th. Mavericks will take on the Celtics. Game 1 in Boston. And NFL news of the day, Justin Jefferson signed a massive deal with the Minnesota Vikings, 4 years, $140 million. Bank of America has powerful digital solutions for local and global businesses, so you can make every move matter. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for businesses. To learn more, Bank of America NA, copyright 2024.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? This is hour 2 of Jon and Jim. We're going to be with you until 6 p.m. We're trying to connect right now with Jeff Fletcher, OC Register. He covers the Angels beat. He'll join us here coming up momentarily, hopefully. Cynthia Freeland, NFL Network, will join us at 4:30. More on Justin Jefferson's landmark deal earlier today at 5:30. David J., great resource for Padres fans from Mad Friars, will join us to talk about a number of things, including Adam Mazur, who is scheduled to start for the Padres tomorrow in Anaheim. Now, do we have a giveaway today, Brent? We do, right? We have a giveaway today. And it's in the rundown. We have tickets to see Britt Floyd at the Cal Coast Credit Union Amphitheater. We'll give them away this hour. Tickets to see Britt Floyd. We also have tickets to see Daryl Hall. Okay, so we have multiple giveaways for you. We'll give them away between now and 6 p.m. What are you laughing at?
I'm not laughing.
Oh, yeah, you're not laughing. Except if you're watching on YouTube, Jim is literally laughing. You're laughing. Okay.
Get those tickets while they last.
Dude, I'm serious.
Can't wait to go to that. Never mind.
Dude.
Sorry.
All right. Let's get this thing back on the rails before Trainwreck Radio. We'll catch up with Jeff Fletcher, who covers the Angels in a minute. Cynthia Freeland, friend of the show, at 4:30. David J. Matt Friars at 5:30. All I had asked was, do we have a giveaway today? The answer is yes. I don't need your 2 cents on the giveaways.
I'm trying.
What's wrong with Hall & Oates, Jim?
Do we have Jeff Fletcher? Jesus.
We're going to.
Oh.
In fact, I might. I'm texting.
He's in his car listening to Hall & Oates.
He says, "Sorry, call me back."
Daryl Hall.
Hall & Oates? Come on, man.
Really?
Get out more.
I'm not going to say
it. All right, Jeff Fletcher's with us. Jeff, we've gone off the rails, so help get us back on the rails. Padres and Angels tonight, game 1 of a 3-game series in Anaheim. Padres, again, against a reeling Angels team that's got injuries everywhere. The offense has really struggled. The pitching, I think, has been at least half decent. But, Jeff, we appreciate you hopping on. Again, you cover the beat for the OC Register. What's the latest with the Angels' injuries? Let's start there, and thank you for joining us.
Oh, well, there's a lot of them. I guess the important ones you want to know about are Mike Trout. He's still just sort of not doing kind of baseball stuff, so there's not really a return in sight for him at this point. Anthony Rendon is going to start getting on the field in a couple days, so that's a good sign for him, but he's still, probably multiple weeks away, maybe a month. And then they've got a whole bunch of other smaller injuries that I don't think we have time to go through, but they've basically been hurt a lot.
Tonight, Tyler Anderson, kind of a little bit of a kryptonite for the Padres, left-handed pitcher, and he's had a really good season for the Angels. You'd probably say he's been their best pitcher all year long. Easy to say that this guy is pretty much auditioning to be traded for when it comes to the deadline this year.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely would be, starting pitching is always very valuable at the deadline, and also Tyler Anderson is signed through next season. So if teams believe that this is how good he really can be down the stretch this year and in the next year, they definitely offer, some pretty good packages for him. I think part of the Angels calculation, though, is if they get to the deadline and they actually feel like not that they would be in it this year, but that their young players are good enough that they could challenge next year, they might want to keep him for next year. So I think that's going to be part of the equation when it comes to whether they trade him or not.
Jeff Fletcher, OC Register, with us right now. Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760, getting ready for Padres Angels game 1. What does it look like here moving forward? You've got Mike Trout, who's about to be 33 years of age. He signed through 2029 or 2030. Is there any reasonable short-term hope that this team can be? I mean, it doesn't look like it's happening this year. I mean, is there relevancy on the horizon for this franchise or not?
Well, they do have 7 or 8 good-looking young players, and the problem is they need to get those guys all playing a little better. You know, they've shown some flashes, and they need to be consistent, and then they need to get some veterans like actually on the field around them. I think there's enough of a core. Zach Neto, Logan O'Hoppe, Patrick Sandoval, Jose Soriano, Nolan Shonwell. These are all pieces that they have for a team that could be good, but they just need to get those guys performing at the level they can, and then get Mike Trout actually out there on the field too.
At home, the Angels are one of the worst teams in baseball. The Padres, ironically, one of the best teams in baseball on the road. But for the Angels, what is it that makes them so bad at home this year?
I don't think anybody knows the answer to that one, and I really can't believe that there is any legitimate answer for that other than just a fluke. I mean, there's no reason why a team should be basically 500 on the road and 20 games under 500 at home. There's just no logical reason for that. So I think it's just kind of a weird thing that'll probably even out by the end of the year, and there'll be more, 10 games under at home and 10 games under on the road, that kind of thing.
Jeff Fletcher with us right now. He covers the Angels for the OC Register. What types of grades would you give Ron Washington so far for his managing?
I mean, that's really hard to do because I think he's had a really tough, they haven't had the players they want, and a lot of the young players that they're counting on have been hurt or just have not performed up to the level that they can. So it's just really hard to blame Ron Washington for that. So, we'll just see how it comes along.
What is the direction with Ron Washington? Do they really view him as the guy that they can win with, or is it more of like, okay, we need someone as a placeholder that can teach these young guys, and then the next guy is going to be the person who hopefully can lead us to winning consistently and getting back to the postseason, which they have not been able to do in a long time?
I mean, I think they feel they can win with him. He won with the Rangers. Mm-hmm. He was, a good manager there, and they won. So I think it's not a problem with him. It's a problem with the players they have. And, if the players perform better, in the next 2 years while he's still under contract, then, they'll be better. I mean, I don't think the manager really pushes the team one way or the other.
Jeff, who are some other possible trade chips that the Angels could be moving potentially between now and the deadline other than Tyler Anderson?
I think Luis Rengifo is definitely one. He's signed through next year also. He could play second base and third base. He's probably having the best offensive season of anybody. And, the fact that he can play multiple positions means he could be appealing to different teams with different holes. Luis Garcia, you guys know from San Diego, has actually been pretty good for most of the season. And he's a free agent at the end of the year. So I think, teams always want relievers. I don't think any reliever who's on an expiring contract is going to get you a huge return, but I think that probably somebody would take him. Carlos Estevez, their closer, also is a free agent at the end of the year. He has not been pitching too well so far, but there's 2 months to go. And, if he pitches better in the next 2 months, definitely he could be attractive. Brandon Drury is another guy from San Diego that he also can play multiple positions. He also can hit, although he's been kind of injured and slumping most of the year. But if he comes back and has a good month leading up to the deadline, I could see a team be interested in him too.
What is the mindset of Mike Trout going forward here with this franchise? 32 years old, has made the postseason one time in his career and just dealt with a lot of injuries of late. Is he going to be, in your opinion, an Angel lifer, or will something change here where he views this situation as, it's going to maybe take a while to win, so I got to go somewhere else, or is he just going to stay there for his entire career, you think?
I mean, I don't think he's going anywhere, and I think it's just partly because of him, because he wants to win with the Angels, because he feels some loyalty and commitment to the organization, and I also think that it's not that attractive of a contract to take on at this point. He's $36 million a year for a guy who's now been injured for 4 years in a row. You're not just going to – and he's got a no-trade clause too, so he gets to pick, where he goes. It just doesn't make all that much sense for the Angels to pay half or two-thirds of his contract for him to go somewhere else and to not get a bunch of talent back. That's just kind of you're just giving up, It's not like you're – going to be able to trade him and get a whole ton of prospects back, like when, Juan Soto got traded or something like that. So I think he's going to be here.
Jeff Fletcher, OC Register with us. Final one for me, Jeff, and you reported on this a while back, but when Shohei Ohtani ultimately left for the Dodgers, how competitive were the Angels in that process? Did they believe that there was a reasonable path to keep him, or how far down the road did they go before he ended up going elsewhere?
I mean, I definitely think they believed they had a reasonable shot at keeping him as the season went on, which is part of the reason they didn't trade him. But then as they got into the actual bidding and when it looked like the deal was going to be what it was with all kinds of deferred money, which Artie Moreno doesn't really like, I think at that point they were out. And I think they probably also realized that, if he really wants to win, and the Dodgers offered him everything else that he wants, then, it's going to be hard to outbid that. I mean, I think the Angels' real hope was that Ohtani would just sort of realize he was comfortable with the Angels and anywhere else would be an unknown. Like, you wouldn't know if he would be able to direct everything about his career the way he has with the Angels, and you just don't know how things are going to be in another place. And the Angels were kind of there waiting, in the background if he decided that he was just didn't want to mess with the status quo. But once it looked like, the Dodgers offered a comfortable situation for him, obviously they have all the money and they have all the winning, so it's hard to compete with that.
Yeah, always seemed like a very possible, if not likely, landing spot, obviously, for Ohtani in free agency. Jeff, we always appreciate your time here in San Diego. We're looking forward to these 3 games coming up beginning tonight, and thanks for hopping on.
All right, thanks a lot.
All right, Jeff Fletcher, OC Register. I mean, it is deja vu all over again. I mean, the Angels, I have no idea what's going to happen these 3 games, but how can you be this, how can you lack relevancy for this long with real money? I mean, it's like they've kind of tried. They've thrown money at things. They've had real players like Mike Trout, Shohei Ohtani, and others. They've spent money on contracts like Anthony Rendon. What a disaster that has been. But like, how can you be this bad for that long when you're not spending $40 million a year like the Marlins?
I truly do think that once Trout's career is over and, years pass and he probably will be in the Hall of Fame, right?
First ballot. Yeah.
Yeah. I think there will be some type of regret there because, I heard Darren and Marty talking about it today with Tony Gwynn, right? Towards the end of Tony's career, there was a lot of push for him to go somewhere else to try to win because after that 98 season, this team was not good. They just went into tank mode. And he said, no, I'm a lifer. I'm staying here forever. And he had opportunities to go to Cleveland, and he chose to stay in San Diego. But the difference between Tony and Trout is that Tony actually had a lot of success here as a team, like team-wise, not just personally, but team-wise.
Mm-hmm.
Made the post
2 World
Series appearances, 3, I think, playoff appearances, 84, 96. Yeah. And Trout has what? 1 playoff appearance? And that was in his games. Second year?
Yeah.
So it's completely different in my eyes that Trout potentially will never again be in the postseason because the Angels, I don't envision them making any type of run, and I don't envision them making any type of postseason appearance here in the next 3-4 years.
Well, if they do, it's possible with the expanded wild card. But if they do, is he going to be even the best player on the team at that point? He's not going to be in his prime. He's no longer in his prime.
No.
I mean, he's always hurt.
He's
about to be 33. If he doesn't make it this year, he's going to be 34. Do I trust age 34, 35, 36 season is the best we're going to see in Mike Trout? Of course not.
Now, it's hard to turn down the contract that he got when he got it.
And he makes a good point, Jeff Fletcher, which is who wants that contract?
Nobody wants that contract.
And who wants a player that doesn't play 100 plus games?
Nobody.
So it's a bad situation. I'm with you. And by the way, it's less desirable. And 25 years ago, there was something about the idea of spending your entire career with one team. That puts you on another level, right? Ripken, Gwynn, Jeter. But I don't feel like that's the case anymore.
But like those players you just named, they all won. Trout's like never won.
True.
So it's different.
Although Gwynn didn't win at the level of obviously like,
but
Jeter.
Trout never won at the level of Tony.
True, although it's
like,
not
even
over,
close.
But your point's valid. Yeah.
Yeah, they're all Hall of Famers, but Trout by far and away is not. I mean, we talked about this last week about guys. Is this guy a winner? Like this guy, Trout's not a winner.
See, that's another conversation. I didn't think you were going to go there.
If you're going to say
no,
that,
I'm not going to fight the other side of it, but that's hard to do.
How is
Ohtani a winner?
It's TBD.
And if the answer is yes, well, that's just because he left.
Well, if they win this year, then he's considered, I guess, a winner.
But it's way more than one.
But it's different from like great player, and then and obviously
is Gwynn not a winner because he didn't win a World Series?
No, Gwynn's absolute. It's a different
His
story.
His career record's under 500.
Okay, well, he made 2 World Series and was in the postseason 3 times. Trout would
so Trout's not a winner because he's been on bad teams. That's very controversial.
Controversial.
I think so. It's a first ballot Hall of Famer. Could be the best player of his generation. It's hard to go there in baseball sometimes. It's like saying, I think it'd be hard to go there sometimes in football too, with like a left tackle. If you're on a bad team, you can still be an amazing left tackle. You're not a winner.
And a majority of Mike Trout's highlights are 3-run home run. Angels now trail 7-4.
He doesn't pitch, unfortunately.
Okay.
Right.
Well, then again, like I said, I think he's going to have some type of regret with staying on the Angels for his entire career and never being on a winning team.
He may, but I don't know if that means he's not a winner. Like him alone, he's been on a loser franchise.
Yeah.
He doesn't do talent acquisition.
And what he should have done is said, peace out, bye. That's
maybe he regrets signing that deal with them. He boxed himself into a corner. You can't get out from underneath it. You're making $400 million. Nobody wants
It's also hard to turn that contract down.
Yeah, exactly. It's hard. What do you guys think? 877-767-4760 or 70470. Start it with team. I think it's probably a little far. Like again, you put Mike Trout on the Padres. Is he a winner?
Well,
if you put him on the Dodgers, is he a winner? Different.
He does. Again, yes, the team around him has sucked. Okay. You can't do anything about that. But he's also never been on a winning team.
One time.
Well, okay. What was that?
They were very good. They won like 96 games, right?
What year was that?
It was a long time ago. 2015 or something.
1 playoff appearance.
Yeah.
0 for whatever in the postseason.
Yeah, but again, I mean, that's putting a lot on his shoulders, which, okay, understood. He makes a lot of money.
If you were to tell me, would you want prime Mike Trout on your team? Like, yeah, absolutely. I would want prime Mike Trout on my team. But he's also a guy that's never been on a winning team, really, besides 1 year in the bigs. And he's going to be a Hall of Famer. And he's never had does he have a postseason hit?
Well, timeout. No, I don't think he does, but it's 3 games.
1 for 12 in the postseason in 2014.
His first year in the big leagues, I don't know if this is war in parentheses or not. I think it is. He had a 10.5 WAR. They went 89 and 73. His second year, they go 78 and 84. He did 9 WAR. His third year, they go 98 and 64. The year they lose in the postseason in 3 games, he had an 8 WAR. The next year, he's 85 and 77 with a 10 WAR. His first 4 years, they were over 500 in 3 of those years. So is it his? But he's not a lesser player, I don't think, after that, until he starts getting hurt.
What I'm just saying is I think he will regret
I think that's way more fair.
Staying with the Angels for his entire career.
Yeah, probably.
Than whenever he signed his contract extension with them.
Yeah.
I don't know when it was.
3 years ago.
He should have left.
Probably true. Yeah, I buy that.
Like, yeah. It's just, I know that you can view it as like, oh, it's kind of cool that one player staying with the same team, but what does Trout have to show for staying with the same team?
Money.
As a fan, I don't care about
A
that.
plaque. I mean, I think Angels, it's an interesting conversation. I think Angels fans obviously are going to be thankful that he was in that uniform for his whole career. I think what Angel fans are going to say is, why didn't you put pieces around him to allow him to shine?
For sure. It's on them.
You know what I mean?
And it's on the organization and the GM and everybody around him to not put the pieces around Trout.
Yes.
In order to succeed. But, I mean, I think also Trout has to look at this as like, I got to think about myself and my legacy. And I'm going to be a Hall of Famer. Guess what my legacy is going to be as a Hall of Famer? 1 for 12 in the postseason, 1 postseason appearance, and that's it.
I'd be shocked if he doesn't get to the postseason again in his career.
Okay.
He's signed through 2030. That would be utter disaster.
Well, it's got to be the Angels because he's not going anywhere.
Probably true.
I think he's going to finish the same way or a similar way as his former teammate, Albert Pujols. Everyone thought Pujols would be a Cardinal for life, and then the Angels are just like, hey, he's not what he used to be, but he'll sell tickets.
But his contract's not up. But the contract's not up. And when Pujols' contract was up, he was like only 31 years old. 32.
He was like prime Trout.
Yeah, prime Trout.
But I think once it gets closer to the end of the contract,
well, you got like 8 years left on the deal.
Nobody wanted any part of Alfonso Soriano's contract till it got later in the deal.
It's a problem though, because at the end of that deal, I mean, if he's hurt now, is he gonna be healthy when he's 38?
Here, let's look at this contract real quick because it usually contracts don't get better as you get older.
Does it with him? It goes down, you're saying?
I don't think it does.
And even if it does, how down does it go?
All right. So, okay, guys, he is signed through 2030. He's not an unrestricted free agent until 2031. This year through 2030, every single year, $37 million.
Yeah, it's not good.
So when he's 37 years old, are you going to be trading for a guy making $37 million? You would need the Angels to eat up like
all of it.
All of that.
And he'd still have multiple years in the deal. Because he signed through what? Age 39, age 40?
Age 39. Age 38, excuse me. 39 is when he becomes a free agent. So it's completely different.
He's not by the way, he may retire before then. To your point, he's got this like degenerative condition.
Yeah.
So he's not playing beyond 2030. He probably doesn't get to 2030. All right. On the other side, Cynthia Freeland, huge deal today in the NFL. The extension of Justin Jefferson, resetting the wide receiver market. $140 million for Justin Jefferson. We'll touch on that and more NFL offseason storylines with our friend Cynthia Freeland from the NFL Network. She'll join us next. Justin Jefferson, the richest receiver in NFL history. What does it mean for the rest of the receiver class? Cynthia Freeland, NFL Network, will join us next.
All right, this update is brought to you by Bank of America. Padres and Angels start a 3-game series tonight in Anaheim, 6:38. First pitch there. Matt Waldron on the mound for the Padres. Luis Arraez is not in today's lineup after leaving yesterday's game with a shoulder injury. Other Padres news, according to Jeff Passan, Tucupita Marcano, who's in the minors, is facing a lifetime ban from baseball for betting on baseball. The NBA Finals are set June 6th, game 1 in Boston between the Celtics and the Mavericks. And today, the NFL, Justin Jefferson signed a mega deal with the Vikings, 4 years, $140 million. Bank of America has powerful digital solutions for local and global businesses, so you can make every move matter. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for businesses to learn more. Bank of America, copyright 2024.
Catch up with friend of the show, Cynthia Freeland, NFL Network's analytics expert, back with us here on Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. Cynthia, thank you. And secondly, can you put this deal in perspective? Like, how far does this blow all the other receiver deals out of the water? The 4-year deal for Jefferson for $140 million.
Well, I mean, look, the number is ginormous. But obviously that's kind of what we've seen things, the way we've been seeing things going this entire off season. If you think about it, I mean, like contextually 140 million, right? Like that for when you don't necessarily have your, quarterback situation nailed down. We like the options there, but we don't know. However, let's be fair. It's not going to go anywhere but up. So on some level, now you're actually making all the other people who signed like Amon-Ra St. Brown. Remember, he was a really big deal. And now it's like, oh yeah, that's just like, moderate.
If you're the 49ers here, are you like, oh no, because Brandon Ayuk's still looking for that big contract here?
I don't know, because the problem is see, and I say this with all due respect to Minnesota. I mean, the 49ers can say something like, well, do you want to win championships? Do you want to be in contention now during the prime? I feel like Justin Jefferson is maybe being paid a little bit of a premium to have to do a lot more of the heavy lifting. Not to say that the Niners and their quarterback situation are completely locked in. However, the total skill position sum is really, really huge. So it's just hard to make that argument if you're a 49ers, player.
It's interesting you say that. Cynthia Freeland, NFL Network, is with us. You say, like, regarding the 49ers quarterback situation, which is always a topic of conversation. I mean, it's one of the biggest topics among football fans.
Yep.
Oh, the Niners would be better if they didn't have Purdy, or actually Purdy's far exceeded what he should be doing based on where he was selected and how much he makes. What does are the Niners set here moving forward, or what could change them not being set here moving forward?
Well, eventually some of these deals are going to come to roost. I mean, you can't be paying this many players for so long. You're going to have to. You have a window now that Brock Purdy is on his rookie deal, but you saw the right side of the offensive line last year. You really had to figure things out around that particular set of. I'm going to say deficiencies, because when you have a quarterback that is as young as Brock Purdy and as inexperienced as he was going into last season, that does make a bigger difference. I mean, that's just logical. That's just what happens. So trying to work around that. And then, their defense, they did take a bit of a hit this year. A couple guys didn't come back, but you just can't pay that many players, even if we've seen this salary cap skyrocket this season. You have to imagine more moderate gains in future seasons. However, it's not like these guys are getting paid any less. The 5 positions, quarterback, left tackle, pass rusher, wide receiver, and corner, it's not like they're like, you know what, we're going to take a pay cut. We're fine.
Me and John talked about this last week, and it was kind of one of those things that was like, wait, what? And it's the new kickoff rule, Cynthia. Right. What's your opinion on the new kickoff rule, and how do you think it's going to change, the dynamics of strategy for these teams?
Yeah, I'm curious to see how far people will go with it, right? Because we always talk about like logically. So you have a 53-man roster. How many, what kind of resources are you allocating to each phase of the game? How many people are you expecting to, a special teamer that could potentially also play wide receiver? I'm making something up, right? Or an extra defensive back. I'm curious to see. I actually think the biggest thing, an area we'll see it being impacted, is the composition of teams. I mean, let's just take the Bills from last year, whose defense got pretty decimated. I'm sure they would have allocated things differently given this new rule and tried to select for a bit more speed that they could also use potentially at defense, as opposed to kind of what they were stuck with in this case. So point being is, I think it will just change the composition of the 53 depending on how a team is thinking about how they can be strategic about it.
And I read something along the lines of the Chiefs kind of dabbling in maybe using like a position player to kick off, because a kicker now is going to be like, has to tackle. Like, he's not just going to be a guy that's just blasted out of the end zone here. Do you think we could see teams going more of that strategy with I do putting a player that okay.
So look at the Jags, right? So here's one of my notes about the Jags. The Jags have one of the best. So he was with Doug Peterson when they were in Philadelphia, one of the best analytics people in the entire league. His name is Ryan Paganetti. And Paganetti is probably I don't even know, I don't know if there's a gavel big enough for him to be banging on the table, but he would advocate for another player doing the kickoff, because he would say, he would take it to its absolute logical, completely to the right, nothing in the middle. If we're left right now and we're going all the way right, he would be like, let's go as right as we can be and change it and be the first ones to really pioneer making it different, because especially initially, that edge is going to be bigger than if people start adopting it in a few years. So if you're a smart team that can figure that out and have the right personnel that can do it, that's a nice caveat there. You will, I mean, again, you have to be a little bit okay with that risk, but I don't know. I kind of like it. I kind of think that why not try, you should go full in. Don't just tiptoe in if you're going to try that strategy.
It's going to be pretty fascinating to watch. Really as big of a rule change maybe as the NFL has had in quite some time. Cynthia Freeland, NFL Network analytics expert, with us right now on Jon and Jim. Analytically speaking, what odds would you put on a Super Bowl rematch this upcoming year?
Well, the interesting part is Kansas City's schedule, and the Chargers as well. So the AFC West gets I'm using the word luxury nicely, of playing the NFC South, which in the AFC, which is way more stacked top to bottom than other divisions, that gives them about, maybe like at worst the 20th hardest schedule, which means there's 12 teams that have a harder schedule. Like ridiculous kind of way that it worked out this year for the Chiefs. So I think that, it compared to some seasons, I think this is actually an easier path for them than before. The problem is it's still a total nightmare once you get to the playoffs. So I think getting to the playoffs this year is good, and perhaps getting that bye would become easier then. And since there's only one, you do get a much bigger advantage now for the team that does get it. And then on the other side, I just have a hard time. There's like 3 or 4 teams that I think could really knock the Niners off their pedestal, but not in like, it'd be hard to say, I understand why odds makers have the Niners as the favorite, because 1, they're likely to make the playoffs, and 2, they have a better chance of winning. But, in a 1-game sample size, like, it's really hard to say, like, if the Eagles get their mojo back, if Vic Fangio can inspire that defense, especially the defensive front, to get their act together, that's a hard team to beat, especially come late season, once they've had a chance for that chemistry to sort of set.
What do you make of the Bears being on Hard Knocks this season? I think it's the first time ever we've had a Hard Knocks with the number 1 overall pick, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because they're like, if I had to say which organization is like, do not pick me for Hard Knocks, like more than any other, like they're right up there. They do. It's like Bill Belichick and then them. Like, do not like. And I know Belichick's not there anymore, but it just feels like that kind of old school vibe where like they want to get like stay away. Like, don't say anything, keep your head down. Like, let's just like not do anything until we've done something, right? So I love it as a viewer, and I love Hard Knocks. It's such a great, Hard Knocks season is like the most hopeful time of the year. You fall in love with whichever team it is. So I actually think overall it will be great for the Bears, and it will be great for us to get a chance to because Caleb Williams, because the Bears sort of knew they were taking him in the beginning, we did talk a lot about him, but we didn't really get to know him very well. He didn't speak after certain games last season at USC. Foregone conclusion that he was going to be a Bear. Like, we just think, compared to seasons past, like, we just didn't get to know him very well. So I'm excited to kind of see what he's made of in terms of, once he's doing some football related stuff. Like, he was obviously very charismatic draft day, but that's a little easier day to be happy than some other ones.
No doubt about it. Cynthia Freeland, we always appreciate it. Hopefully you also got the 4-year extension at 140 from the NFL Network.
I'm working on it with the NFL Network, but 140, it seems doable.
Yeah, 140.
Yeah,
something.
We ask our bosses for like $100 million every day.
$140, you mean, right?
Yeah, exactly.
$100, $140.
That's right. $100. Yeah, they'll be like, sweet, great.
Exactly.
Awesome. You're signed. Perfect.
Cynthia, we appreciate it as always. We'll catch up again later this summer. And thanks for doing it here in San Diego.
Absolutely. Have a great day, guys.
All right, Cynthia Freeland, NFL Network Analytics.
So 140? Yeah, $140?
Yeah, you're signed.
Good.
All right, this is a choose your own prize Trainwreck Radio trivia. You're either going to win tickets to see Britt Floyd. Yes, that Britt Floyd. Or tickets to see Daryl Hall. Yes, that Daryl Hall, Hall & Oates. The number to call, 877-767-4760. First 2 callers can choose their prize, either tickets to see Britt Floyd or Daryl Hall. Both of those shows at the Cal Coast Credit Union Amphitheater coming up later this summer, one June 14th, the other June 16th. Here's the number to call, 877-767-4760. We'll play trivia. First 2 callers can pick their prize, either tickets to see Britt Floyd or Daryl Hall, 877-767-4760. That's next on Jon and Jim. All right, caller 2 just dropped off. Who wants to win a pair of tickets to see Daryl Hall and Oates June 16th at the Cal Coast Credit Union Amphitheater, an amazing venue. Daryl Hall from Hall and Oates, June 16th, coming up. Here's the number to call, 877-767-4760. Again, the number to call, your chance to win 2 free tickets to see Daryl Hall, 877-767-4760. We'll play Trainwreck Radio next. David J. Mad Friars. Adam Mazur is going to make his big league debut reportedly tomorrow for the Padres as a starter with both Yu Darvish and Joe Musgrove out. We'll talk to David J. about Adam Mazur and much more coming up at 5:30. But right now, curveball. Let's get to this. Like a knuckleball.
A Waldron knuckleball?
Starting tonight.
Is this a must-win series for the Padres?
The must-win series.
Glad you asked.
If they lose the series versus the Angels, people will not be happy because you're coming home and everyone's terrified of this team at home. Like it's not good when you come home and people are like,
"Oh no,
here we go,
here we go."
Like
this
just
offense
like sitting there on their hands, like, "Oh man, are you guys gonna score any runs? Are you guys gonna?" It's one of those series that you should win. And it's a series that, honestly, with how everything's shaped up, they're the worst home team in baseball, and you're one of the best home teams or best road teams in baseball. You should probably, I don't know, win the series, and it would behoove you to maybe sweep them because of the pitching injuries that are with this team right now. And who knows how the pitching staff's going to look here in the next couple of weeks.
Do you know the last time the Padres won 8 of 10 series at any point?
Well, I know they won 6 straight series last year to finish off.
That's great.
The season.
Do you know the last time they won 8 of 10 series at any point?
Last September.
2009.
Man, Schilte's going to throw a parade.
So my point is, if they can win this against the Angels, and you're spot on, they should win this series. Does it end their season if they lose it? No, it does not. But if they win it, it's 9 of 11. Who knows the last time they did that? But it's been 15 seasons since they won 8 of 10 series. They are trending up. They're without Darvish and Musgrove. Let's see if they can keep it going this week. They should win this series. I'm with you. Next question.
Who's going to win the NBA Finals? Whenever they start.
Dude,
next month.
Next year. I'm taking the Mavericks.
Really?
Yeah, I'm taking the Mavericks. I think they have a better 1-2 punch than Boston does. I don't think Boston has anybody that can stop Luka and Kyrie consistently over a 7-game series. They might if they play like insane team defense, but I think just like matchup wise, you have nobody that can guard those two guys.
Dude, Boston is. I'm gonna say Boston. Boston's a heavy favorite, are they not?
They should be. They have the most wins in basketball.
They should be, but you just tell me they couldn't stop Kyrie and Luka. There's no answers. But according to Vegas, they disagree with you because the Celtics opened as minus 225 favorites.
They're 6.5-point favorites for game 1.
They're minus 225, Jim.
Okay.
2.25 to 1.
You know what's funny is that this entire postseason, when any player like does really well,
okay,
you know the first person that they're compared to?
Michael Jordan.
It's insane.
Is that who you're comparing Kyrie to?
There's a promo running on the station of Colin comparing Luka to Michael Jordan. I'm like,
is that why you picked the Mavs?
No, I picked the Mavs because I think they're going to win.
That's what happens when you're the GOAT.
Like Luka?
Like Colin?
No, like Jordan.
Okay.
You know, when you're the tippy top of the thing, you're going to get compared to everybody.
I just go with Vegas. They're 7-point favorites in game 1.
I want Dallas to win, so I'm picking Boston in 6.
Yeah, I say Boston.
So how many games did Luka play versus the Celtics this year?
Maybe
I think
2.
1.
I think they only played him twice.
Well, yeah, they definitely didn't play more than twice.
All right, 2 games against the Celtics. They lost both those games, by the way. They lost one 138-110, and then the other 119-110.
Okay.
And Luka in both those games, he had 37 points and 33 points.
But they lost.
But they got their ass kicked.
The points to win.
I know it is, John. I'm just saying.
Luka's good?
They're due.
They might be due. Next question. Lord.
Is Caitlin Clark being treated unfairly?
I don't think so. I think the discourse and like the conversations have gotten crazy and out of hand. But like,
unfairly by who? Are we talking about by other players in the league, the way she's being like bullied, or are we talking about like the media?
The media is just crazy.
The media is a whole nother thing.
Yeah. I would take, let's just talk about the on-court stuff with like the referees and I guess it's fine.
I mean, listen, opposing teams know the Indiana Fever aren't very good without Caitlin Clark. Therefore, they're trying to take Caitlin Clark out. Caitlin Clark plays for the worst team in the league.
Yeah.
So the key to beating the Fever has clearly been to key in on Caitlin Clark. She scored just 3 points in her last game. Now, is the media treating her fairly? I don't know, really.
I do think it's crazy how some of these players in the WNBA are attacking Caitlin Clark in like post games and everything when without Caitlin Clark, I'm sorry, you're not getting this attention.
Well, that's what Barkley said. He said, you guys wouldn't have chartered flights if it wasn't for her. You should be kissing her ass.
You wouldn't be on ESPN constantly. And by the way, your league wouldn't be growing like it is right now without Caitlin Clark. It's just a fact.
Right. But it's also a fine line of, I agree with you. She's certainly brought a huge portion of this attention to the league, but should she be treated differently because of it?
No. Here's another thing too, is because of her, these players are getting, Angel Reese and I'm blanking on her name of the Sparks. We talked about her early.
Cameron Brink.
Look at you, Brent.
Look at Brent pulling out. Those players are also getting highlighted because of the attention that Caitlin Clark brought to the league. And so it should be good for everybody,
but
not just Caitlin Clark.
But are we saying that Cameron Brink, and who did you mention other than Brink?
Angel Reese.
Wouldn't receive that level of attention if there wasn't a Caitlin Clark in the WNBA? Is that a disservice to their abilities? Is Caitlin Clark just a phenomenon?
She is.
That goes beyond basketball, even though she's really good at basketball.
Yeah.
Kind of like Tiger to golf, even though it
went beyond golf. It would
beyond
behoove Caitlin Clark also,
to play for a winner.
They're
2-9.
They're not. She's not going to do that this year, but in the near future, playing for the winner, it would behoove her.
Yeah,
in the
definitely.
league,
And
You're really rocking the behooving today.
Yeah, you're behooving.
It's like your fetch. Stop. It's not going to happen.
Oh, behoove.
I don't know what to make of it other than there's more attention now than there's ever been in the WNBA. Caitlin Clark is the primary reason as to why. And I don't know what to say of it beyond that.
And it's gotten to a level.
There's only one answer. We have to compare her to Michael Jordan. And when Michael Jordan was a rookie, he got the crap beat out of him too. He came back, he lifted some weights, and he was better for it. So.
I just think that the conversations being put on like CNBC and all these news stations. I'm like,
yeah, but that
whoa.
but that goes
It
to
does.
beyond basketball and has raised the profile of the sport. I think that's probably a good thing for the WNBA. Wouldn't you agree?
It's all because of Kennedy Carter, forearm
No,
checking
but
her.
it's all because of Caitlin Clark, to your point. Because if she forearm check
Anybody else,
someone else, it wouldn't be on CNBC.
You want to hear the craziest headline before we move on here?
What do you got?
From the Chicago Tribune, from the editorial board, headline: The foul committed by Chicago Sky guard Kennedy Carter on Caitlin Clark was egregious. Outside of a sporting contest, it would have been seen as an assault.
Well, yeah, just like outside of hockey, you can't check people into boards
or fight people in hockey. Yeah.
Next question.
Will we see Joe Musgrove pitch again this season?
I hate it, and I would be me personally would be surprised if we do see him again.
I say yes, we will see him again. Now, will it be in uniform on the mound for the San Diego Padres? I don't know. But no, I will say yes, we see him on mound in uniform for the Padres. I'm speaking it into existence. Hour 3 of Jon and Jim on the other side. Back to tonight, Padres and Angels at 5:30. David J. from Mad Friars. Adam Mazer will make his big league debut for the Padres tomorrow night. What can we expect? We'll kick off hour 3 of Jon and Jim next.
This update's brought to you by Bank of America. Padres and Angels start a 3-game series tonight in Anaheim. 6:38 first pitch there. Matt Waldron on the mound for the Padres. Luis Arraez, even though he said he would be in the lineup today after being removed from yesterday's game with
liar.
What are you, the way you say that? You're a liar, Luis.
Well, again, this is more on the team than him, I think.
Yeah, well, we haven't heard from anyone, have we? Has Schulte spoke? I'll take a look.
Take a look. He's not in the lineup today, and I put that more on the team than him. Anyway, 6:38 first pitch in Anaheim. Tucupita Marcano, according to Jeff Passan, is facing a lifetime ban from baseball for betting on baseball. Moving over to the NBA Finals, which starts in like 7 weeks. Game 1 between the Celtics and the Mavericks will be on June 6th in Boston. And NFL news of the day, Justin Jefferson signed a 4-year, $140 million contract with the Vikings. Bank of America has powerful digital solutions for a local and global business, so you can make every move matter. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for businesses to learn more. Bank of America, copyright 2024.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? This is the final hour of Jon and Jim, we believe just for the day.
Forever.
David J. Mad Friars will join us at 5:30. We'll talk about Adam Mazer. Brent, and our listeners and our viewers on YouTube. Jim just got so mad at me, and it was a complete joke. It was so easy because he says to me, he's always on his phone at every break. We both are. And he's on Instagram. He's like, why is my Instagram down? I'm like, maybe it's because you've posted too many wedding pictures. They're like, dude, chill. We have a limit on the number of posts you're allowed. You're going to have to pay $4.99 a month, dude. Okay, we've got servers. You can't just post unlimited photos of your wedding from now through eternity.
Hey, they paid for that photographer,
dude,
damn it, and they're going to post every
he's like,
single
I've only
picture.
posted a series of 3 volumes. I'm like, I'm just kidding.
I hate you.
I know you do. You're so mad. When I said that, you got so mad.
As Brent said, we paid good money for these for photos.
I agree.
And
I'm
frankly,
kidding.
I don't think I've posted enough.
Keep posting, man. Instagram's gonna come after you. Like, dude, you can only post like
and we haven't even
once a day.
We haven't even gotten like the full photo set. We just got sneak peeks, and we're still waiting on a video.
I'm excited for the video.
Yeah, you'll
because
probably
I'm a huge focal point of it because I officiated.
You'll probably be in it. And if you're not in it, you're
That's
gonna be like,
what
"What
the
hell, man?"
That'll be a weird video
John's
if I'm not in it.
Yeah. So we're still waiting on that, and we're still waiting on the final pictures from our photographer. So we still have like a good amount for me to still post to annoy
Stay
you.
tuned. If you want to see more at Jim, are you at Jim Russell SD on Instagram?
Yeah.
So you have the full at Jim Russell SD across platform.
Correct.
I like it.
Yeah, I'm very uniform with everything. You are too, though, aren't you?
I'm just at John Schaefer.
But you're also at John Schaefer on
Was there
X.
someone else that was at Jim Russell?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just regular Jim Russell.
So you're never moving, right? Because your handles will follow you.
Well, whenever I move,
well, you can move to South Dakota.
Good point.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Soon it'll probably be like Jim Russell, PA.
Jim Russell, PA. I like that. Jim Russell, PA. I do like that. Yeah. All right. 2 stories I want to get to before we touch back on this series that kicks off at about an hour in Anaheim at 6:38.
Weird start time.
I haven't even ran these stories by you, but I'm going to talk about them anyway.
Oh, perfect.
Well, one of which is San Diego State was trying to land their final scholarship on a player that played at Rutgers, Mawat Mag. We talked about him briefly with Mark Ziegler.
Went to BYU.
He ended up choosing BYU. So, you know, that happens. Yeah, you can feel that way if you're an Aztec fan. I mean, we know this, that San Diego State, typically when they hone in, they're pretty good at landing the players that they hone in on. That doesn't mean they're going to land it with 100% accuracy. And in today's world, with NIL, the portal, realignment, everyone, I don't know the reason Mag chose BYU. By the way, BYU's in the Big 12. They've got open scholarships. It might be money, as Jim's doing the money signal.
Money.
So, you know, I thought it was a good fit for San Diego State. Brian Dutcher told fans of the Aztecs within the last couple of weeks, because I was at some events, he says, I believe we got a really good team. Whether we take an additional scholarship player or not, he feels like they're well positioned. So I don't know if they'll get back in. I don't think they're going to force it. I do think they still may have a need potentially at the 4. The reason I say that is they got youth there. Magoon Gwath, who's like a 7-footer, but he redshirted.
Like basically Wemby.
He was like Wemby, maybe better. And then Pharaoh Compton out of Vegas is a huge prospect, highly coveted recruit, but these are young players.
Like a Paul George.
He's like Paul George, Kawhi type.
Yeah.
So maybe they need a veteran player in that mix as well. I don't know how Brian Dutcher and the staff are seeing it. But again, someone that San Diego State apparently had coveted and honed in on went to BYU, boo, over San Diego State, yay.
Now, they did get somebody who will become a walk-on.
Do you know the name?
I do not know the name, but he basically is like a Steph Curry, Klay Thompson hybrid.
In the name game, he's got a Steph Curry name. And so his name is as good as Steph Curry's game. Ooh, I didn't even mean to say that. He's got an elite All-American name.
Oh, man.
Kimo Ferrari.
Dude.
I think it's
that is awesome.
That's the greatest name
K-I-M-O.
ever.
So Kimo Ferrari. He shot 45% from 3 last year for Brown. He had like 40 or 50 threes. He had a 39-point game for Brown last year.
Sharpshooter. He's going to be a walk-on. So
He's a walk-on.
That's not a scholarship.
Francis Parker here in San Diego.
Right.
Okay, so that's one story I wanted to touch on.
Okay, cool.
I'm not going to lose sleep there. I trust the staff always gets this right. They've been very good in the portal. You move on to the next, potentially, if you're Brian Dutcher and staff. The other story, and I'm not overly familiar with them, and we've talked about SDFC more for like the off-field than we have on-field because the club hasn't even taken the field as of yet. But reportedly, ESPN and others are reporting that Chucky Lozano is like a Mexican soccer, arguably star.
And it's spelled like Chucky,
but it's pronounced Chucky.
Pronounced Chucky.
Yeah, Chucky Lozano reportedly is going to be announced as a marquee signing by SDFC, maybe as soon as the coming days, maybe this week. I think it's a pretty big addition. Again, with us being a border town, with him being of Mexican roots, has starred for the Mexican national team previously. I don't have all the details.
Yeah, don't ask me to like break his game down or like tell you.
Yeah, what do you think about his game?
Or tell you like how good he has been, but
how would you compare Mawat Mag's fit potentially with BYU to the way Chucky Lozano could fit into this SDFC team?
What I do see from people that do know way more about this than I do is that this is like a home run type of signing for SDFC.
Now, are we saying that because of what he's going to mean on field or because of marketing a international player with Mexican roots here in San Diego?
Both.
Okay. I'm asking because I don't know the answer.
Both. I think the marketing aspect of it is a huge thing here because, and they can't just, if they put out a team that really nobody knows about, which could happen, and they go out there and don't play well and they don't look good and you can only market so much. I think you need to market. Like the one thing that the San Diego Wave did was get a marketable player. And oh, by the way, they got the best women player arguably in the world.
Sure.
Alex Morgan. Pretty good strategy there to have that player on this team. I don't know if Chucky is gonna be like this like mega star, but I think that they are doing it right with potentially signing him as one of their first players on this team.
So he'll be top 5 in salary in the league, somewhere between 7 and 9 million. He played in the World Cups for Mexico in 2018 and 2022. He has scored 18 goals for the Mexican national team. So, yeah, I'm with you. I think from a marketing perspective, it's going to be a home run would be my guess. I have no idea what it's going to mean on field. I think from a marketing perspective, though, which is probably where you're thinking about, like that's what I'm thinking initially. Like you don't even play until 2025. You need to make waves, no pun intended, in 2024. You need to sell tickets now.
Yep.
If you're San Diego FC, this reportedly could get done officially this week. So we'll see what it means. Like this could be the first of a series of high-profile moves for San Diego FC. But it does, this certainly has legs to it because ESPN and others are reporting it. Chucky Lozano, 18 goals for the Mexican national team, is going to sign with San Diego FC.
Because truthfully, from like just my opinion, a subpar like logo and color scheme is only going to take you so far.
You think they need players?
Like you need to have some like marketability from like the players.
Right. Well, what's this going to mean? Like you said, I thought you said it well. Like, well, I'm not saying that Lozano here is Morgan to women's soccer here.
Right.
And by the way, I don't know.
I don't know either.
Because his influence might be that great with fans of soccer Mexicans, right? So maybe it does have that type of inroads.
And also having now the matches with the Cholos
right
for the next couple of years here.
Yeah,
The partnership that they created there, you're going to get a lot of fans from across the border coming up here. And if Chucky is on this team, I mean, that's just a home run right there. So,
all right, so we'll keep an eye on that.
Yeah.
Chucky Lozano to San Diego FC potentially announced later this week. We're also keeping our eye on you, Darvish and Joe Musgrove on the IL. Luis Arraez not in the lineup today. We have not heard from Mike Schild as to why. Presumably has to do with an apparent shoulder injury he suffered yesterday sliding into second base. Also, the Angels will throw a very good left-handed starter today, the veteran Tyler Anderson. So a very good road team in San Diego with a good road series. Didn't win yesterday in Kansas City despite the lead. Now it's like we know they're better than the Angels. We know they're good on the road. It's like, how do you overcome Darvish, Musgrove, Arraez at least for a day, a lefty starter in Tyler Anderson? Can they keep this momentum going despite some headwinds going on right now?
Well, they're on the road, so I think the answer to that is yes.
Just stay there.
Just stay on the road. Just don't come home. You're close to San Diego. Just stay in Anaheim. Maybe play all your games there, because you're a team that when you come home, you're not good, and you're just one of the worst home teams in all of baseball with a 500+ record. And I am looking at this series like, with the uncertainty of the pitching staff going forward here because of Darvish, and who knows when we're going to see him, and who knows when we're going to see Musgrove again. You got to stack up some wins here just in case. Because do you expect Waldron to pitch like he's been pitching like for the rest of the season?
Yes.
Do you expect Michael King, who has not pitched more than 100 innings in his entire career, getting close to his career high in innings, to be pitching like this for the entire season?
Maybe not.
Do you expect Randy Vasquez to give you quality start after quality start after quality start?
Right. He's been better recently, but no, that's a question mark.
Do you expect a rookie in Mazer to go out there and fill the hole that's left by Joe Musgrove?
I hope he's not asked to do it long term. I do think he hopefully can do it short term, but if he's asked to make like 20 starts or whatever it would be, yeah, that's probably exposing.
So what I'm saying is just like stack up some wins here, just in case. Things go a little haywire with the pitching staff until the trade deadline, when presumably Preller will make a move for a pitcher.
That's a good way to look at it, because the truth is, even with the question marks over Darvish and Musgrove, and we're like, man, this could be, who knows if we see Joe Musgrove again. Yeah. We don't know, and we'll see you, Darvish. But the truth is, the trade deadline, while not coming immediately, is coming. We're now within 2 months of it.
2 months.
Which is a lot of time, but there's also the All-Star break in there. You're talking about 7 weeks of play. It's a lot of starts, make no mistake, but you're going to get there, and you can start entertaining real legitimate trades to bolster your rotation. I would think at some point, maybe later this month, certainly in the first half of July, you can entertain it. So you got to get from point A to point B, potentially without Joe Musgrove and Yu Darvish, but you don't have to do it from now until October 30th. You got to do it from now till potentially the 1st of August or the middle of July. So it's like, how do you navigate the next from now until the All-Star break? Yeah. If you're the San Diego Padres, and your point's valid, which is stack up wins against the A's and the Angels and the Mets and even Arizona.
Right. I mean, Arizona, it's division opponent.
Yeah,
I'm not
I
going to
agree.
say
I agree.
you can stack up
5 games under 500 for the year.
True, but they always are a tough test for the Padres, just because for whatever reason. But how this series in particular shapes up, like the tail of the tape, dude, you're facing the worst home team in baseball, and you're the best road team in baseball in the National League. You cannot lose the series.
And the Angels' offense is, I mean, again, they've had injuries. I mean, it's just not good. So
one thing that scares me is who they're facing tonight, and they're also facing the lefty tomorrow as well. So if they can get over that massive hurdle of beating a left-handed starting pitcher, maybe things will start to be turning around at home coming up here the next homestand.
Yeah, I don't like this idea. People are like, well, you face more right-handed starters than lefties, so it's no big deal. No. Guys, I mean, a third of the pitchers you're going to face, if not more, 40%, 30 to 40% of the pitchers you're going to face are left-handed. You can't just be like, well, we'll beat up on righties,
right,
and then we'll see what we can do against lefties. It also goes back to this point that we've made. Machado, Tatis, Kim.
We haven't even mentioned Machado on
today.
Show.
But they should all be good against left-handed pitching.
But they're not.
You know, they haven't been. You're right. So again, if they lose the next couple of games and we just chalk it up to, well, they're facing left-handed pitching, that's not going to be an excuse. Like at some point, you're going to have to beat So even good left-handed pitching, which Tyler Anderson tonight would qualify for.
Yeah, no. There's no excuses on this show. None. Okay,
but it's a lefty.
It's a lefty,
right?
No excuses. Everything stacks up where you're one of the best road teams in baseball. Go out there and act like it. Don't get slipped up here because you're facing another lefty.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're playing the worst team at home in baseball in the Angels, or one of the worst.
No, they gotta be the worst. 7-21. Is someone worse than that? I'll look it up. There's no way.
Good question. I don't really know.
That's
I just said
terrible.
I just said one of because
I know.
I didn't want to like definitively.
I want you to say
worst.
7-21 is definitely the worst.
It is.
Yeah, it's not even close. Not even close.
Okay, so it makes it even more like apparent how badly you need to win this series.
Only single-digit home win team. They have 7. Everyone else is at least 10.
Now the Angels did take a game from the Yankees, I think last week,
but they lost the other 2.
I know, but still, they at least beat them one time at home.
They're 1-8 in their last 9
at home, and with the 1 wins versus the Yankees.
1-8 in their last 9 overall.
I'd be surprised if Tyler Anderson was the pitcher of that game.
He may have been. He honestly may have been.
Maybe. Yeah, you got to go out there and kind of assert your not dominance here, but like lean on the Angels here and take over the series. And you just had a pretty decent series versus the Royals. Go out there and win this series, and hopefully on Wednesday we're talking about them going for a sweep with Dylan Cease on the mound.
I was going to say, are you cool with it? Would you sign up right now? Home 2-1 here, even though they're 7-21 at home, they're winning 25% of the time. Are you cool with just getting home? You got a rookie starting tomorrow. Just take it. Sign up for it. 2-1. See you later.
I mean, if you're Schulte, he's going to.
It's a series win.
It's a series win.
He's a big series guy.
A big series guy, and then he can go in the press conference after they lose one game and be like, whoa.
But we won 2.
You guys need to be talking positively about it. We just won another series. We just won 9.
See, I'm kind of on Team Schill if they win another series. At some point, we're going to be like they are. If they win the series, they're then 20-13 in the last. Like they actually are playing.
Look, if you at the end of this month, and I don't know how many series are left in the month, but say there's like what? Let's say 8 series.
Sure.
Right. They win 7 of those series.
Yeah.
That means they've won 15 of what? 18 series?
That's crazy.
yeah, exactly. Now, if you get to that point, then yes, Schulte, all bow down. Love the series win. Good job. Good job, everybody. And they will be, what, 5-6 games over 500 then at that point? 7-8?
I think if they win 7 of their next 8 series.
And then I think that's when you
8-10 over.
I think 8 of 10 series in the grand scheme of baseball is not a large sample size.
It's like a month.
Yeah, it's a month. And you had a bad first month, so it evened out to where you're basically a 500 team.
Right.
But if you tell me at the end of this month, if you had 8 more series and you're like winning, if you won 7 of those 8 series, and now over the last 2 months, you've won 15 of 18 series, that's the sample size I look at. Be like, okay, you're right, Schulte.
Okay.
There you go.
So you reserve judgment until that happens, or what if they sweep a series? Let's say they go to Anaheim right here. They win the 3 games. They'll be favored in all 3 of them, presumably. I don't know. But they're favored tonight, a heavy favorite. Let's say they go here. It's their first sweep of the year. They're 5 games over 500 coming home. They've got the favorable schedule. At that point, it's like, you know what? Schill gets the benefit of the doubt. They're 21-12 in this scenario.
Mm-hmm.
They're 21-12 in their last 34 games, playing .650 baseball.
Very good.
At some point, do we just say, you know what? Maybe he's onto something. He does know his team. They're playing good baseball.
As long as they don't slip up at home.
As long as they don't lose again.
Because we talked about you can win all these series, 2 of 3, right? 3 of 4.
Right.
You throw just 1 series loss in there, and say you throw 2 series losses in there. One of them you get swept,
right?
And the other you lose 3 of 4.
Right. That's true.
The series then doesn't mean much to me about when you tell me you won 5 of 6 series. Well, or 5 of 7 series. Well, the 2 series you lost, you got swept and you lost 3 or 4 in the other one.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. Listen, I remember Matt Waldron's pitched very well here recently. I think Matt Waldron's been a good 5th starter. If you're sliding him up now to the 3rd spot,
it's a little,
again, I always use the term exposing. That might be a little exposing. Let's hope it just continues with Waldron. I mean, he really has thrown well. I think they'll need him to be good today. I'm not expecting this to be the day they score 8 runs off Tyler Anderson. I hope I'm wrong.
I mean, he's the perfect 5th starter.
Yes,
right?
I agree.
The perfect 5th starter. But like you said,
Third starter?
You are relying on him now to be like this good all the time.
Right.
That's a problem. And I mean, if you're looking at his numbers here, John, his last 7 games, I'm just going off the
You're right. You're talking about Waldron?
Waldron. I mean, he's got a 4.03
It's good.
3-3 and 38 pitched.
Good for number 5.
1.29. Exactly. That is a perfect number 5 starter. You don't have any problems with that. Take that every single day of the week.
But if you move him up in your rotation,
yeah,
you could. Right. No, that's a good point.
So
yeah, like is it win day every day with Matt Waldron? It's not when he's your 5, but when he's your 3, you're going to count on him because you're 4 and 5. You don't know what you're getting.
Yep.
All right. On the other side, David J. What are the expectations for Adam Mazur? We'll learn more about this young pitching prospect set to make his major league debut tomorrow night for the Padres in Anaheim. David J. Mad Friars joins us next. All right, for Padres fans that have not seen one of their top pitching prospects, Adam Mazur, what can we expect tomorrow night when he makes his major league debut? David J. for Mad Friars joins us next.
All right, this update is brought to you by Bank of America. Padres and Angels start a 3-game series tonight in Anaheim, 6:38. First pitch, Matt Waldron on the mound for the Padres. Luis Arraez not in today's lineup after leaving yesterday's game with an injury. Other news with the Padres, Jeff Passan reporting today that Tucupita Marcano is facing a lifetime ban from baseball for betting on baseball. Moving over to the NBA Finals, which start in a couple days. Boston, they'll take on the Dallas Mavericks. Game 1 in Boston on June 6th. And NFL news of the day. Justin Jefferson signed a mega deal with the Minnesota Vikings, 4 years, $140 million. Bank of America has powerful digital solutions for local and global businesses so you can make every move matter. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for businesses. Learn more. Bank of America, copyright 2024.
Keep up with San Diego Sports 760 anytime, anywhere, whether you're stepping out of the car or settling in at home. Just ask your Google or Alexa smart speaker to play AM 760 or stream it live through the iHeartRadio app. It's never been easier to stay connected with your favorite shows like this one. San Diego Sports 760 goes where you go. It's always great to connect with David J., who is such a good resource for Padres fans. So is madfriars.com. He's back with us on San Diego Sports 760 and Jon and Jim. So Adam Mazur, I don't even know if I'm saying it right, is scheduled to start tomorrow night in Anaheim. Former second-round pick, highly coveted prospect in the organization. For Padres fans that haven't seen him, what can they expect to see when he's on the mound tomorrow? And thanks for hopping on, David.
Yeah, always good to talk to you guys. And Jon, you do have that right. It's Mazur is the pronunciation. So there you go. So Mazur opened the year in Double-A. As you said, he was the second-round pick, the third pick they had in 2022. So he is hitting the majors not quite 2 years after he was first drafted. Didn't pitch at all the year he was signed. The Padres really made a habit of doing that with a lot of their higher end pitching guys, is working with them outside of competition the summer after they're drafted. But really made a name for himself last year, and then, like I said, started this year in Double-A. Blew through there pretty well, and so he's been up in Elsinore, or in El Paso for the last 4 starts he's made. He's a righty with really that sort of standard starting pitcher 4-pitch mix, a fastball that's been sitting pretty consistently around 96, slider. If you look at the TrackMan data on Savant, they're actually miscategorizing that pitch as a cutter, but it is a slider that he throws. And then he's got a change and a curve that he'll mix in to keep hitters honest and to work on eye level a little bit.
Should we take anything from his struggles in AAA, or is just that's the league and it's just it's a hitter's league, and that 7 ERA and the 4 starts he's had there doesn't really mean much, and we should look at the 1.95 ERA he had in Double-A?
Yeah, and I don't think you should expect a 1.95 ERA in the big leagues, but also don't think you should expect a 7.83.
Yeah.
He came up. The first 2 appearances he had were in Las Vegas, which is probably the premier hitting environment in the Pacific Coast League, and then made a start at home, which in El Paso is close behind. So certainly in that environment, I don't think you worry too much about some of the runs. His last outing was sort of a weird one that wound up getting cut short after a whole series of ejections in the 3rd inning. So, I think you look at those starts and you see again what the repertoire is. You see that he's maintained a solid strikeout to walk ratio, and really at this point, they don't have any other options to consider. So it makes decision-making pretty easy.
I'm glad you mentioned that. That's where I was going to go. David J. Matt Friars with us right now on Jon and Jim. That fine line in baseball, right? Where is a player ready, or is it necessitated that he is ready? Would he have forced his way through? Again, it's hard, obviously, with the particulars. If there's a 5-man rotation, there's a 5-man rotation. You can't really force your way through if there's health. But was he destined to appear in the big leagues, in your opinion, at some point in 2024, regardless of these injuries or not?
Yeah, I mean, we had him to start the year. We had him just outside the top 10 in the system.
That was before a whole series of trades and all the rest and graduation. So he's now very clearly, the third overall prospect on the pitching side in the system behind Lesko and Snelling, who are still further away. When we wrote him up, we said it was likely he'd get some big league innings this year. It's probably earlier than they would have really ideally hoped, but he was certainly the guy coming into the year that you looked at and you said, he's got the pedigree, the profile, and the track record that you would expect to see him be in the mix when and if something was needed. But he did come into the year behind guys like Waldron and Vasquez and really Brito as starting options at the big league level. But here we are.
Here we are. And you mentioned like they don't really have any other options here. Is there like a name that you could see, okay, maybe this guy may get called up if Andy Mazur does not work out? Or is every name that you think of just going to be very risky if that happens?
Yeah. So first of all, just it's Adam, and I appreciate you made that same mistake because I spent.
Did I say Andy?
Yeah,
you sure did.
Oh, I did. I knew it. Dang it!
And every time I went to publish something with his name in it last year, I had to stop and double check and make sure I had it right. So
it's so hard because Andy Mazur and it's yeah. Okay.
Yep, totally get it. Literally, that was the last thing I did before I published any piece that had him in it last year was go back and double check. Done it. So, I think that if something were to happen and they needed a stopgap, one-time start, and you look at the minor leagues at this point, the only guy who you'd consider maybe doing that with is Jackson Wolf, who of course got a one-time spot start for the club back in 2022, and then was promptly traded to Pittsburgh a few weeks later, and is now back in the system. He's had some ups and downs in El Paso this year. His control hasn't been as fine as it really needs to be for a guy who works with the velocity right under 90 miles an hour that he does. But if there was a situation where they were in a doubleheader and they needed to bring up somebody who could work innings, it's probably him. Otherwise, I think if they find themselves in need of somebody for any extended period of time, you're looking at stretching out either Brito or Adrian Morejon from the big league bullpen, and then bringing up a relief option and a guy. If you're looking for somebody who most folks probably don't know his name, Lake Bacher, who was originally drafted back in 2016, is a righty who's got a really good mix of stuff, including a high RPM fastball that plays really well at the top of the zone. I could see him coming up as a multi-inning bullpen guy and moving one of those guys who's currently in that role into the rotation if they had to.
David J. Matt Fryer's with us right now on Jon and Jim. As is written in my contract, I have to ask you about Ethan Salas. So I will. I know he turned 18 June 1st, so I know he's playing well above his weight class, so to speak, in advanced A, even though he spent a little bit of time in Double A even last year. It looks like it's still been a slow go. I mean, just look at the numbers. I know he homered within the last week or two. It's his only of the year. His OPS remains under 600. His batting average remains under 200. Is there anything to be learned from what we've seen over the first 2 months of the season for Salas in Single A?
I think, like you said, you started to see a little bit more production here in the last few weeks. But he's a guy who's still not striking out very much. His strikeout rate is actually down from where it was last year. He's walking more. Part of it is the balls he's put in play just haven't turned into hits. I think his batting average on balls in play is somewhere around 250. Now, some of that is he's not hitting the ball as hard as we were seeing in the spring, but some of that is a feature of bad luck. I think everybody would have loved to see him go out and set the world on fire from day one. I think, the reality of a now barely 18-year-old, a kid who, if he had stayed in Florida in his teenage years, would be, at the top of this year's draft class. as a high school senior. He's holding his own. He hasn't looked overwhelmed in his at bats. He's making good swing decisions. Largely, he's expanded a little bit recently, but I think there's no reason to worry yet. But I think we can safely put aside the pipe dreams from early in spring this year of Ethan Salas, big leaguer 2024.
Jeremiah Estrada was in the minors briefly, AAA. I think he was there for like 8 games or so. Did you expect to see this from him with the Padres this year?
Oh, absolutely. Didn't everyone?
Of course. That's right.
Yeah.
Perfect answer. Yes, we all saw this coming.
Yeah, exactly. It was a great waiver wire pickup in the off season. I've seen the Cubs 40-man roster. I certainly think there are some guys who I would have gladly let go to hold on to somebody with his velocity. But, he's done a great job of dialing it in and being in the strike zone effectively a lot more. And certainly that's a tribute to Rob Marcello, to Ruben Niebla. And if you listen to Estrada himself, to Joe Musgrove and the time that they spent together at Camp 44. So, great to see. It is worth remembering. I dare you, even though you just heard it a whole bunch of times last week, to tell me whose record he broke for most consecutive strikeouts.
We know. Yeah, of course we know.
It was that one guy.
That guy. Yeah.
That one guy.
Yeah, that guy. That's
exactly very good.
Yeah. And of course, bullpen. He's not going to continue to strike out 80% of the batters he faces. I think we can safely agree that that's not the long-term future.
DFA.
It is, but what he's doing is fantastic and desperately needed, in part because a couple of guys who were really effective out of the bullpen last year as rookies, Tom Cosgrove and Alec Jacob, have really struggled this year. Both of them finally seem to maybe be putting it together a little bit down in El Paso. And that's obviously going to be an important thing to watch if Cosgrove in particular can get back to the sort of movement he had on the sweeper last year. He becomes an important weapon to be in the bullpen later on this year. But it's been a real slog for him. He lost his release point a little bit and just hasn't been able to get that same life on it. So that's going to be an important piece to keep an eye on, I think.
Great insight as always for Padres fans from David J. Always available to you as well at madfriars.com. Everything you need to know about the major and minor leagues for Padres fans. David, we appreciate you doing it as always.
Thanks, man.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, guys.
All right, we'll do it again soon. Jim's back page, plus an interesting college basketball note for you next. All right, Jim's back page is next, plus an update on Luis Arraez. Per the manager, sore.
I was going to say, his arm doesn't be amputated.
No,
Okay, good.
no imaging, sore.
Sore.
Might be available off the bench.
Might be.
Or Schultz might. See how he feels. Sore. You worried?
Well, I mean, they said Xander Bogaerts was sore, and he broke his freaking shoulder.
We never saw him again.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
No. Well, I don't know. They say he's sore. He's day to day.
Well, he's sore.
Before we get to the back page, real quick, Madison Square Garden, December 21st, Kentucky, Ohio State men's basketball. Why is it significant?
Let me guess. Lamont Butler versus Micah Parrish.
Yeah, Kentucky, Ohio State, MSG, December 21st, part of a doubleheader. Lamont Butler, Micah Parrish on the floor together. No, not together, against each other.
That's great. Let's get to it.
Yeah, sorry. There's a Instagram post I need to make on my wedding. Doesn't have to do with Jim's wedding.
No care.
Doesn't matter. All right, what do you have on your vendors?
Breaking news on our vendors. That's funny you didn't realize that. When I said thank you to my vendors at the wedding, you guys were like, what are you talking about? That's what they're called.
Thought it was very odd. You're like, first of all, the first people we need to thank tonight, it's so great to have everyone here, but we can't do this without our vendors.
Yes.
What about like mom and dad?
Okay. We couldn't have a wedding without the...
You wouldn't be alive without them.
Maybe I thank them like personally.
Continue.
100 times. Breaking news, John.
Okay.
There is a new all-time highest selling Michael Jordan card record.
What is it?
The final...
I already saw it.
So the 2003 Upper Deck Ultimate Collection Michael Jordan signed Logo Man.
Okay.
Went for $2.92 million.
Reason being, it's that rare. I mean, signed is one thing, but
well, it graded out to a 10. So that's like the highest grade you can get for any card. And it's also signed by him.
Yeah, $3 million.
There's other reasons too.
What are the other reasons, Brent?
I was waiting to see if you're gonna tell us.
Oh, he doesn't know. He didn't read the article. What's the reason?
It's right here. It's all I got. Boom. Breaking.
What's the reason?
Final sale price, 2003 upper deck.
Because it's a 1 of 1.
Oh, it's one card. It's a 1 of 1, Jim.
It says 1 of 1. My bad.
Yes, the Logo Man cards were all 1 of 1s. And the other thing that he left out is there is a piece, the NBA patch from his actual game-worn jersey is part of the card. So it's a 1 of 1. It's signed. It's in near perfect condition. And the NBA patch from Michael Jordan's actual game-worn jersey is also part of the card.
Thank you, Brent, for that back page update.
Thank you, Brent. Appreciate that. Rubio's, which I go to like almost every day.
Oh, a number of them closed.
Rubio's is shutting down dozens of locations in California, including 24 across the Southland, whatever that is. The spokesperson for the restaurant said
everything south of LA.
Yeah. Spokesperson said that a total of 48 California locations have shut down due to what the company calls the rising cost of doing business in the state.
What about the one right next to us?
13 locations are closing in San Diego. I don't know about the one next to us, but I hope it doesn't close.
I hope not.
Because I go there like almost every day before work.
You and me both go there.
Every day. I get the Mexican street corn bowl.
Well, you're not the reason why they're
with chicken
closed locations
or shrimp. I like to go like variation.
Have you been using coupons?
No, I pay for mine.
He orders off the kids menu, remember?
You're the reason why the company is going under.
I did it one time.
You're buying $20 items for $250, and then you're like, I can't believe they're going out of business.
I did it one time. I just wanted like a little quesadilla, and I ordered a like kids quesadilla. That was it.
I can't believe they're closing stores.
It's like buying tickets to a movie theater, but instead of saying you're an adult, you say you're a child ticket to save an extra $3.
Yeah, you do that too.
Which I do. I do that all the time.
Your next story: every movie theater in San Diego County is closing.
Well, the final story I have is X, formerly known as Twitter, has updated its policies to allow porn on the website. Good job, Elon.
Really?
Yeah. It's like, guys, there's already porn everywhere on this
already
fucking
on the
stupid
website.
Everywhere there's porn bots. Everywhere I look, it's just like porn.
You forgot to include mine that I sent you hours ago.
I didn't want to read it.
What was it?
I don't remember.
No, it doesn't count. Oh, Amazon reportedly planning American Gladiators reboot.
If he doesn't remember Hall & Oates, he remembers the hell American Gladiators was.
Did you know about American Gladiators? And you don't put that in your back page? I was saving it for tomorrow. If you missed anything today, sportssd.com, iHeartRadio app, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Spotify. Leave a review if you're listening to the podcast. We're back tomorrow. Join us tonight for a wrap-up show following Padres and Angels. For Brent and Jim, I'm John. Keep it here, San Diego Sports News.
So bye.